This is a story of two men, Larry and Ed. Good evening, Toastmasters. Many, many years ago, when I was in college, along with my evil twin, we needed to get internships for the summer. The college University of Maryland didn't actually require internships, but they highly, highly recommended it. They had a whole office. I checked, it still exists, the Office of Experiential Learning. Fancy name for doing things outside of the university. But more than the university wanting it, our parents really wanted us to get internships, even if we didn't make any money doing it, to get out of the house so we weren't just hanging around all day long, all summer long. So we went to the office. Now, remember, this was a long, long time ago with those stone tablets. No stone tablets, but they were big stacks of printouts. There was no World Wide Web to go searching for an internship like you might today. You couldn't even do big emails all over the place. There were email systems that they were very isolated, like the universities had one or different companies would have their own. So everything was, we go to the office, they pull out they'd have things posted on the wall, what all the new things coming up, and they'd have big books full of printed out page after page after page of different internship opportunities. And we're looking around at different possibilities, and somehow we found Amtrak. Yes, Amtrak, the railroad. They had two different internship opportunities open at their headquarters in Washington, D.C. One of them was in the information technology department. That would actually have been working on mainframes, which we used some in college, and that was big iron. That was a big thing still at the time. The other one was in the human resources department. And as it turns out, that was not, so they were gradually transitioning off of mainframes. They were still very reliant on it. All the payroll, all the big things were run through the mainframes, but they were getting into PCs. So we go down into DC, and we interviewed with both of these departments. And a few days later, we get a call back from the HR department that they were interested in both of us. And that was wonderful because we were always together. We went to school together, and now we're going to go to internships together. It's very convenient to commute down on Metro together, and so on. So each day, our dad would drop us after morning services, would take us to the Tacoma Park Metro station. We would take the red line on down to Union Station, walk over to the headquarters, which actually wasn't in Union Station at the time, though it did move a year or two later. And at the end of the day, we would come back on the red line to Silver Spring. There was no Wheaton Station at the time, and take a bus on home. Our bosses there, but who really, it turns out, were really more like mentors in a sense, were Larry Costello and Ed Korzanowski. We just called them Larry and Ed. Now, they were old guys, but actually not so old. They weren't as old as I am today, but they were old compared to us little college students. But they had a lot of experience in the mainframe world. They had a lot of experience in the corporate world. And so they understood the tension between the mainframe people on one side who were managing all these big systems and wanted to protect their data and their fiefdoms, and the new up and coming PCs where you could put a PC on a desk and actually do stuff with it without being under control and being watched all the time by these big mainframe systems people. They were really into that. So when we got there, they had one IBM PC in the department. By the time we left, we were there for 3 summers. The first is unpaid internship, which turned into a paid internship, thanks to, I think, quite a few good words put in by Larry and Ed, as well as then following on for 2 more summers. By the end, it was PC XTs with additional hard drives and then even PC ATs. So this was really the personal computer revolution time. So what did we do there? We were writing software, same as we do today. Well, not quite the same, but software is software, application software in particular, and databases. And that's what we start out with DBase 2 and then DBase 3. Nowadays, it's MySQL and PostgreSQL and other things, but the basic concepts are the same. So we learned a lot of useful skills by writing these different programs for these different parts. And some of the examples were really transitioning from the mainframe world to the PC world. So Larry and Ed had a very good sense of Here's how you take a project and you write out specifications and you design, here's what your forms are going to look like, and here are the fields that go on the forms, and here's how you decide and you show your customers, in this case, other people within the department, what your reports are going to look like, and then an iterative process of developing these systems. One of them in particular, I remember, was great, was they got this big Printronix printer that was really designed for a mini computer or mainframe, hooked it up to an IBM PC AT, worked out somehow with the mainframe people to get a download of employee data, and then we used that to print out cards that the employees would use for free and reduced travel, which was an important perk in those days with the railroads. The mainframe people could have done it all themselves. I think they used to do it themselves, but they weren't agile enough to turn around and say, okay, we've got to get this project done. We always had a deadline. It had to start in the summer. It had to finish in the summer. And Larry and Ed gave us a lot of freedom to do what we wanted, but really helped us with moving these projects along. And we learned a lot about that, managing projects, managing customers, managing expectations. It was really very useful and really grew into what we do today, the smart computer, where we're dealing with very much similar types of processes. Even though the hardware has changed, the programming language has changed, the systems have changed, but those basic concepts have stuck with us. So what happened with Larry and Ed? Larry, I just checked online before this meeting. It looks like Larry passed away last year. Ed, I don't know. I couldn't find an obituary, so he may still be out there. We haven't stayed in touch, though a number of years, maybe 20 years ago, he called us up to help out, and I did for a few years. He had retired from Amtrak and was working as an insurance agent, and he needs some help with software on his computer, a little more advanced than those original PCs and ATs, to go ahead and get his job done. So Larry and Ed, I thank you very much. I really learned a lot from both of you. Back to you, Toastmaster of the Day.